The nation is mourning the loss of a statesman and public servant in Representative Ed Salagman, champion of human rights, women's rights, and social justice reforms in legislation. He is also the author of the reproductive health law, and it is in his honor and memory that we are also doing this media event this morning, and we hope that we will do it right today. So again, welcome to this media briefing and dialogue among partners. Today is a culmination of a week-long study tour to the Philippines of a group of parliamentarians from Europe, Canada, and New Zealand. PLCPD is honored to be the host of this parliamentary study tour in partnership with the European Parliamentary Forum for Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights. Our organization has been hosting these study tours with EPF for 2 decades now as part of our efforts to have linking and learning exchange with parliamentarians from the region and from all over the world, across the globe. And this week, this group of parliamentarians had dialogues not only with lawmakers and decision makers in our government, health service providers from public and NGO-run facilities, civil society organizations, and most importantly, the key affected population, women and youth from the community. And so we have invited representatives of the delegation, and we have 3 of them with us this morning to share their insights on about what they saw in their week-long study tour. And because they arrived at such an interesting time, Congress is debating, the public is debating on comprehensive sexuality education, which is part of the proposed pregnancy adolescent prevention bill, and also the reproductive health law. We have also invited our partners from civil society, UNFPA in the Philippines, and of course we have our convener of the Child Rights Network to also give context to the discussion that was going on, and also to answer some of the questions because this debate has been going on for almost a month now. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our panelists this morning. I'd like to call on first Honorable Joanna Skuring-Wilgus. She is from Poland, but she's a member of the European Parliament. So please, your opening statement.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to be here with you. I'm from Poland, from the center of Europe. I used to be in Polish Parliament 9 years. Now I am the member of the European Parliament since last June. I am working with European Parliamentary Forum for Sexual Health and Reproductive Rights since 2016, and I am happy to be on study tour in the Philippines. And I am very proud to be a part of this mission. It is on the missions, on the study tour like that, it is always better to see something in person than to rely on information from others. It is always better to experience something from first hand than to assume you know about it. I believe that when I have experienced something, lived through something, or seen something, I can truly say I know what I am talking about and I understand it. And this is how it is with mothers all over the world. I am first and foremost a mother, and only after that, a politician. We mothers, no matter where we live, in Poland, Philippines, Finland, Italy, Sweden, United Kingdom, we know exactly what it means to get pregnant, to be pregnant, and to give birth to a child. We know what does it mean to care for our children, and we know what does it mean protect our children. We are with our children when our children are healthy and when our children are sick. We want the best for them. We want to protect them and care of them and watch them grow into happy adults. This is what mothers around the world want, no matter where they are. I mentioned this because here in the Philippines, during our study mission, in the hospitals we visited and in the communities we spoke with, I met a strong, intelligent, and responsible women who care for their children and want to improve their living condition so that their children, they have it easier, better future. I also, in our study tour, met amazing young people, full of passion to act for their communities. And these young people, they are our future, everywhere on the world. And every politician should understand that without children, happy children, there is no future anywhere. And we must protect them and build a better future for them we had ourselves. And I know what I am talking about because I'm from Poland. I grew up, I was a teenager during the communist time, and I gave birth to my three sons, a three different political situation and political situation in Poland history. The first son, the first when we dreamed of joining to be in the European Union. The second one when we just joined. And the third one when Poland was fully benefiting from European Union membership. I did not have any problems with my pregnancy, but I saw with my own eyes and I experienced the changes with doctors, the changes in the hospitals, the changes for better. And I know what I am talking about because I live it myself. And of course I feel privileged because I have birth to my children out of love, because my husband was with me when I gave birth. And this is exactly why I want to help those who still do not have this opportunity. And because of that, I am here. I support, encourage, and show how it can be done in different countries as well. I do not speak when I am on the mission, study or like that, on topics I don't understand. I am talking about what I know, and if it comes to women's rights, children's rights, I often speak to UP. And now I am speaking in Manila, and I'm very happy to be here to show our experience. And I would like to tell you that the change give us a better future. And Poland shows up it is possible. I know it because I experienced this. Thank you very much, and I will give the floor my another friends from our mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Joanna. And now I'd like to call on Honorable Guillaume Gauffier Valente, Member of the Parliament of France, and he is also the President of the European Parliamentary Forum.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you at the end of this important and very interesting study tour. And I want to begin to thank a lot all of the organizers and all of our partners of this study tour. And now I want to share with you a question: what we will say to our colleagues, friends, citizens when we get home tomorrow. First, I think we say to our colleagues, citizens, friends, that we have seen in Philippines an incredible and beautiful energy. We have seen a strong civil society. We have seen a lot of projects to improve the life of the people and to build a better society, a better world. I think the Philippine people believe in the future. And so at the moment when all my friends in France asked to me to back with the sun, which is, I think, unfortunately impossible, I want to back with this energy and to share it with my citizens, because I think in France we have need of this energy. Secondly, we found here in Philippines a lot of allies in our common fights for the women's rights, for the protection of the women and the children, for the development and the access of the sexual rights, for the sexual reproductive health rights. We have a lot of subjects in common. And I give you a third example that we have a lot of talk this week. First, the CSE, the Comprehensive Sexual Education. We have this week the same debate in France than in Philippines. And at the moment that we speak, we have the same attack in France by the anti-choice movement against our CSE program. We adopted yesterday this program at the unanimity of the union. But it's important. And these attacks, it's with the same word in Philippines and in France. And it's a very important program. And we have to take this fight together. The second, it's the teen pregnancy prevention bill, a very important bill, I think. And I hope the Philippines Parliament have to find the way to adopt this important law for the Philippines people, but important law for us too, because I think it's a source of inspiration for other countries, I think. And the third point, it's the struggle against the HIV. It's a question here, it's a question in France, and all around the world, I think. And we have to learn to take your word, Liz, yesterday. We have to learn each other a lot to better fight together. The third point, and it's my last point, I think it's important to continue to defend the importance of the international solidarity. In a world where the majority of the leaders think that the first point is the investment in the military defense, we have to say that there is another choice, another way, the choice to put in first the solidarity international and to reinforce the ODAs and SDGs objective. It's the best way to build a better world and sustainable world. To finish, thank a lot again to everybody. Few words in French. Merci beaucoup à toutes et à tous pour l'ensemble de ces travaux et de ces échanges. And Maraming Salamat. And I give the floor to Liz.
Thank you very much, Honorable Guillaume. And as our nation was once inspired by the French Revolution, thank you for saying that you're inspired by the energy of the people of the Philippines. So now I'd like to call on Baroness Liz Sugg. She's a member of the Parliament of the United Kingdom.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everybody. I'm Baroness Liz Sugg. I'm a member of the Upper House in the United Kingdom, our House of Lords, and I'm a member of the Conservative Party in the UK. I work in the area of human rights and particularly focus on the health and rights of women and girls and children. We have had a very interesting study tour this week, getting to know the Philippines and understanding our shared experiences. And we have met with government agencies, development partners, and advocacy and youth groups. We were honoured to visit both the House of Representatives and the Senate to meet with some of your lawmakers and learn about your political and legislative process, and to discuss progress in this area through the reproductive health law, child protection measures, and your other legislative initiatives, and also discuss the key challenges that remain. So it's been really helpful to meet with your legislators and policymakers to understand more about the work. The highlight for me, I think, was visiting Pasay City to see the Community and Family Services International CFSI project. And we walked around the barangays and spoke with health providers and peer educators about their important work. We also met with representatives from the City Health Office and the Division of City Schools to talk about their programs on adolescent health. We were also very pleased to attend a sundown clinic to learn about how the HIV and AIDS Policy Act is aiming to address the needs of underrepresented groups, including young people. And I was reading in one of your newspapers just this morning that 47% of new HIV infections in the Philippines are among the youth, and that just shows how important their work is. Yesterday, we saw the impressive Dr. Jose Fabella Memorial Hospital and to see the important care and advice that they are providing. And we heard from them just how important it is to educate our youth to help them protect their health. I wanted to share a reflection from my own country. And 25 years ago, England introduced its first teenage pregnancy strategy, which was a pioneering directive that successfully brought together societal change by working with national and local leadership and also communities and civil society to help reduce adolescent pregnancy. And that was done through comprehensive sexuality education and access to family planning services. And as a Conservative Party, we strongly support that. Since its introduction, there has been a very welcome progress in this area, with the under-18 rate of conception falling by 62% between 2000 and 2015. And the biggest declines in that were in the areas with the highest level of deprivation. However, in the last few years, we have seen adolescent pregnancy rates rise a little in the UK, and part of my work in Parliament is looking at the lessons learnt and considering what further action is needed to ensure that rates fall and that women and girls and men can take informed choices regarding their reproductive health. So it's been really interesting for me to be here this week and listen to the debate that is happening in the Philippines and see the work that you're doing in this area, both in legislation and within the community. I've been really impressed, particularly by the outreach work we've seen in some of the organisations we've visited, showing how groups are able to reach members of the community that need their help and advice. And it's been really inspiring, like my fellow parliamentarians, to meet with youth organisations and advocacy groups who are working so hard in this area. And in all our countries, human capital development is one of the positive consequences of investing in reproductive health. And we share ambitions to improve women's health, education, and the protection of children. We're all working to achieve the health goals from the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And we have seen evidence this week from UNFPA that targeting maternal health and family planning interventions really makes economic sense, with US $18 return for every US $1 invested. So I wanted to end by thanking our hosts, PLCPD, and all of the organisations and individuals who have been involved in organising this excellent study tour. We are really grateful for your hospitality and your openness during our visit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Liz. And now I'd like to call our representative from a civil society organization and who also used to be the Executive Director of Commission on Population and Development. So he knows so much about the programs of the government in terms of adolescent health and development. Let's welcome Dr. Juan Antonio Perez.
Thank you and good morning. I'd like to thank you for being part of the panel and visiting the country. I'd like to inform Baroness that we look to the example of the UK in addressing teen pregnancy. And when we drafted the first versions of the law, we also looked at the experience of Thailand, of course. I think these are two countries that have tried to address adolescent pregnancy. Of course, when we developed the framework, it was a Philippine framework, not a UN framework. It was our own framework, and it's a framework that aims to reduce incidence of pregnancy among adolescents, but also providing social protection for those who are already adolescent mothers. So it's addressing comprehensively the issue. And it's founded on 5 pillars, no? And comprehensive sexuality education is one. And another is the provision of services to adolescents, which was taken back by the Supreme Court in 2014 when they said adolescents can only access services through parents, with the permission of parents. So even if they were already mothers themselves, as we have seen, pregnancy among adolescents even back 10 years ago, was already in the thousands for 10 to 14 years old. A third element of that, aside from services, is measures against social abuse and coercion. A fourth is socioeconomic development interventions, like providing social protection for mothers. And the fourth is mobilizing the youth to participate in their own improvement in health and in their situation. So those are 5 elements, but I'd like to focus on the link between comprehensive sexuality education, which is one pillar, and measures against sexual abuse and coercion. Because in both areas, we already had measures. No? President Duterte in 2017 already said, we will implement comprehensive sexuality education under the RH law. And Congress in 2022 passed a law which raised the age of consent in the Philippines, which was 12, based on a old Spanish law. It's 12. But we raised it to 16. That means any child who has sexual relations before they are 16, that incident is statutory rape. No? Even if the child consents, it is rape. And so that came into effect in 2023 because the first pregnancies that we could term as statutory rape started around December, January 2023. So if you look at the entire year of 2023, all births to children before 2020, in 2023, would be on the face of it statutory rape. And the numbers are quite alarming. The number of under 16 pregnancies in 2022 was around 10,500. It went up by 8% at the very time that we were implementing a law on statutory rape. So it seems the law is not having any effect on those who are causing all these pregnancies. One must also remember that rape does not always result in pregnancy. It is the repetition. It is a repeated act, because you only get 30% chance of getting pregnant with a single sexual act. So you could have 3 or 4 acts before you get pregnant. So these 11 in 2023, when we had 11,479 under 16 pregnancies. I don't know what the numbers are in your countries, but that is very high. Since all of them are statutory rape, one would expect that government would have taken action. But I looked at all the government websites. No government agency issued any guidance on how to implement the law. The Supreme Court came up with a definition. They said they repeated the law in March 2024, just last year, to remind government that this is how you look at statutory rape. Anyone under 16 who gives birth or has had sexual relations, that is statutory rape. Yet when the government reported just last year, reported on the reproductive health law, they noted there were 2,000 plus cases of rape that were filed among all women. There was not a single case against under the law on statutory rape, not one. So that means all the 11,479 have been, government is just a bystander rather than taking action on this. So they celebrated, we now have 2 years of the statutory rape law, but has a single case been filed? None. And of course, the 11,479 are only the tip of the iceberg. There are more children who are being abused or coerced. It's only the 11,479 that have resulted in pregnancy. And when you look at the data, no, because some of those who are against comprehensive sexuality education say it has affected all children. It may cause them to consent to sex, no? Yet only 21 of the fathers reported were of the same age as the mother. 99% of the reports of births had someone older than 17 years old, no? Older than them. So these are men in positions of power, with economic control, maybe someone in the house, maybe a neighbor, maybe someone invited to the house. No? These are incidents of abuse that must be addressed, yet not one case was filed. So it is our request to government, address this issue. It is your task to do something about this. At a press conference, I heard one undersecretary say, these are all cases of rape. Yes. Why is there nothing being done? And one of the contentions against CSE is that it will make children consent to sex, but they are being abused by older people who are in more economic and social power than them. And they ask the parents to do something about, for the parents to control, to be the ones to provide protection and advice. But only 12% of parents are willing, 10 to 12% are willing to give CSE to their children. So the schools have an important role. It is an emergency situation that was declared in 2018, but it persists today and it has gotten worse. And it was an issue for 10 to 16-year-old children at the start, but now we have an 8-year-old who became pregnant by a 21-year-old man. So it's now happening from 8-year-olds to 16-year-olds. So I think that must be the focus of attention of government. Government might say, oh, it's coming down, but teen pregnancy is going down in the 16, 17, 18, 19 group. So this division of fertility, of incidents of abuse must be addressed by government. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Doc GP, for the reminder that we have a law that needs to be enforced and implemented strictly, but we also need this proposal on prevention of adolescent pregnancy that also has 5 strategies, including comprehensive sexuality education. And now let's hear from our representative from the UNFPA. I'd like to call on Dr. Charles Andrew Bautista, Demographic Intelligence and Planning Analyst, UNFPA.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. The United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, we stand firm in our commitment to advocate and support the government in addressing the urgent and critical issue of adolescent pregnancy in the Philippines. In a survey done in 2021 by the University of the Philippines Population Institute, we noted that still 7% of girls aged 15 to 19 have already given birth. Alarmingly, pregnancies among those who are aged 10 to 14 are increasing based on the Philippine Statistics Authority data. And this is very unacceptable. Children deserve the chance to finish their education, pursue their dreams, build a future. Early pregnancy steals that opportunity, perpetuating a cycle of poverty and poor outcomes. From the perspective of the UNFPA, this is both a health issue, but also a human rights issue. To address adolescent pregnancy, we know that young people must have the right to scientific, accurate information and access to services that will allow them to make informed choices. UNFPA, we champion these rights and work tirelessly to support our government in upholding them. The evidence from around the world and even the Philippines is very clear. Comprehensive sexuality education, CSE, is a crucial intervention in reducing adolescent pregnancy. We want to really emphasize that CSE does not sexualize children. CSE does not encourage children to have early sex or have more sexual partners. But on the other hand, CSE, when done effectively, delays sexual initiation, promotes safer practices, and significantly reduces the risk of unintended pregnancies, STIs, and HIV. What CSE is, it's about empowering young people with the knowledge and skills that they need to navigate their relationships, to understand their bodies, and protect themselves from harm. It's about providing, again, to emphasize age-appropriate, scientifically accurate information so that they can make this informed decisions. It's about protecting them from discrimination, exploitation, and abuse. UNFPA, we advocate for CSE actually to be adopted in the local context. We want CSE to respect a country's culture and values, but at the same time, still prioritizing the rights, interests, and well-being of young people above everything else. CSE is only one intervention that is part of a comprehensive approach, which includes providing access to youth-friendly SRHR services. And this is part of addressing the root causes of adolescent pregnancy, which includes poverty, gender-based violence, and harmful social norms. We also support engaging parents, communities, and faith leaders. So we encourage engaging parents in providing CSE to children. But crucially, we also must listen to young people and for themselves and hear what their thoughts are when it comes to interventions that's related to them. UNFPA, we work with partners across all sectors to address these complex challenges. So to end, we want to emphasize that we want to create an environment where young people can thrive, where they can make informed choices, and where they can reach their full potential. Implementing CSE is about investing in the future of young people in the Philippines and also essentially investing in the development of the country. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Drew. And now let's hear from our own Executive Director and also the convener of the Child Rights Network, Mr. Romdon Gueto.
Thank you, Al. Good morning to everyone, especially our friends from the media. PLCPD is the convener of the Child Rights Network, and CRN is composed of more than 60 organizations nationwide. And we are from the government, civil society organizations, and international development organizations. And our work is mainly to push for legislation protecting children. We will continue to support Senate Bill 1979 and the DepEd's effort to provide comprehensive sexuality education to our children. We don't see anything wrong with the current definition of comprehensive sexuality education from the Senate bill into DepEd's curriculum. I want to share the condition of children in as far as our support to this policy measure and the program of DepEd are concerned. In 2021 alone, 2 million children in the Philippines were subjected to online sexual abuse and exploitation. This is from UNICEF. And we all know that parents are involved in allowing children or even directing children to pose naked and to sell these materials to those seeking these materials, and mostly they are foreigners. According to Chameleon, an NGO based in the Visayas, and they are helping abused children, about 7,700 700,000 children are sexually abused every year in the Philippines. Another NGO, the Center for the Prevention and Treatment for Child Sexual Abuse, said that 1/3 of Filipino children have or will experience some form of molestation and sexual violence before they reach the age of 18. Data from the Philippine Statistics Authority that show that around 33.4 million or 30.7% of the country's population are children under 15 years old as of August 12, 2022. And I will not repeat the statistics mentioned by Dr. Perez. No? The high prevalence of teenage pregnancy, 1 out of 10 pregnancies in 2022, as among 15 to 19 years old woman. Increasing number of pregnancies among young adolescents, it was mentioned before, earlier. And programs that promote abstinence only, as we can see in the literature and many studies here and abroad, as the only option have been found to be ineffective in delaying sexual debut, reducing the pregnancy or sex, or reducing the number of sexual partners. And I mentioned this because this was introduced during the hearing conducted by Senator Gatchalian in the Senate, when C.J. Sereno, former Chief Justice Sereno, said that government should promote abstinence. On CSE promoting gender ideology, which create identity crisis among children. Again, this was mentioned by Project Dalisay and C.J. Sereno in the Senate hearing. Yes, we believe that a gender identity crisis will occur among Filipino children, not because of the comprehensive sexuality education, but because of ultra-conservative religious leaders trying to impose their binary gender teaching on public policy making. Project Dalisay is against this bill, SB 1979, because CSE in the bill mentions sexual identity. It's a topic that will be covered by the comprehensive sexuality education. And Project Dalisay alleged that CSE will promote gender ideology. So we all know that this is not true, because we all know that self-recognition of gender identity develops over time among children, and it happens the same way as children's physical development. And children tend to develop a clearer view of themselves and their gender over time, as early as 2 years old, according to some studies. Project Dalisay would like to impose that there should be only 2 genders that children should identify with, either male or female. And this is their argument against CSE. We all know that this is a pushback, and it will strengthen the expectations and stereotypes about gender among children. Gender expectations and stereotypes can make a child experience discrimination and bullying. And we are very worried that if this narrative is adopted by our Congress, more problems of bullying and discrimination will happen. EDCOM 2, which is the Congressional Commission on Education, reported in June 2024 that there is alarming incidents of bullying in Philippine public schools. And I would like to also cite the study from the Human Rights Watch that there is high incidence of bullying that affect children with different gender identities. And this study was as early as in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. When children is not safe to express their gender identity, it can increase the risk of mental and physical health problems and could result to suicide among children. And we have heard time and again of these cases. If they succeed, Project Dalisay and their allies in Congress will eventually disenfranchise millions of children with different gender identities other than male or female. I would like to reiterate that there is nothing wrong in the RH law, SB 1979, and DepEd's CSE curriculum. Project Dalisay misinformed the public as well as our politicians, and it's just very unfortunate that this is election period or season, and we can see some of our politicians making pronouncements, which if you only think that they passed this bill, similar bill in the House of Representatives in 2023, and now the pivot is really shall we say, we are very, very sad. I cannot just pick the right word, because it was unanimously approved in the House of Representatives. Unanimously. Unfortunately, Congressman Edsel Lagman was no longer around, and he was the main author of this bill in the House of Representatives. But CRN will continue to face this opposition with evidence, and we will reach out to other groups, not only in Metro Manila, but to other regions, because we know during the struggle for the RH bill or RH law, there are so many voices in the many regions of our country that need to be heard. We maintain that Project Dalisay is a minority voice in this debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rom. Before we go to the Q&A, I'd like to acknowledge the media organizations and partners who are here with us this morning. We have GMA 7, Signal TV, and One News, UNTV, Rappler, ABS-CBN, Philippine News Agency, Women Writing Women. We also have Human Rights Watch and our partners from the European Parliamentary Forum. We have members of parliaments of Sweden, Finland, Italy, a senator from Italy, and a senator from Canada. Good morning. And of course, we have UNFPA and the Child Rights Network. So now I'd like to invite our partners to raise their questions. Please introduce yourself, your organization, and identify the panelists that you would like to ask.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Abad from Rappler. My questions are for our guests from Europe. So just the first one, we know that here in the debate, the Project Dalisay or the Conservatives are raising the WHO curriculum in Europe as the international standard that would guide our CSE here. So we already know that this will not be used. That's what our Philippine authorities have said, it will not be used here. But just for the record and just to put it into perspective, is it being enforced in your countries, like for example, the early childhood masturbation, and does it actually sexualize your children? Just for perspective.
Thank you. I'll take that one. I think what's important to recognize is that each country is going to adopt the curriculum which is right for their country, and it will be, you know, for us in the UK to decide how to teach our children. It will be for you here in the Philippines to decide how to teach your children in an appropriate way. I think it's really important to address this misinformation that is around there. We certainly don't in the UK teach masturbation to 4-year-old children, but what it provides some guidelines for countries to be able to, as I say, develop culturally and socially appropriate measures to teach their children. And that's what we've done in the UK to great effect, and that's what I'm sure you will do here in the Philippines.
Maybe I would like to add that the information about the masturbation, this is disinformation, and this is very, very dangerous and deadly because it's prevent the protection of children from abuse, exploitation, and early pregnancy.
Thank you for the question, and I say what I said in my introduction. CSE, it's a very important policy and important to put in place in each country with each program for each country. This this comprehensive sexual education. And what is interesting to see, it's to see that the anti-choice movement in all the world attack this CSE program with the same word. And it's why I said it's interesting to see that in France this week we have the same attack campaign than in the Philippines. And there is a structuration of this attack. And I think, and it's why it's very important to have this exchange between us, between the parliamentarians of all around the world, with the society civil, to see how can we explain the importance of this program, and to fight against the disinformation, that in English, disinformation campaign that we observe.
Thank you for that. And since we just finished the study tour, I also wanted to inquire about if there are similarities that you're seeing in the Philippine context and in the context of your countries. Like, for example, if there are also evidence of lots of abuse of very young children getting pregnant by older fathers, and how are you addressing this in your countries?
We have, in the UK, we are looking at child and forced marriage. We recently passed some legislation to ensure that no child under 18 can be married, and I know that you have done similar here in the Philippines. I think for us, the other shared experience we are seeing is the importance of education for young people. We've seen that work in the UK, and also the importance of access to informed family planning so that people can make choices.
In Poland, we don't have a sexual abuse to children. If somebody, doing this, it's going to the prison. Yeah, this is very simple for us. And we are a Catholic and conservative country, and we, in this subject, we think the same. I'm from Social Democrats, but with my colleagues from Conservative Party, we have the same point of view. We have to protect our children, and this is simple for us. You can't abuse children. You have to protect children, and this is the most important thing. And if you don't have a possibility to learn your children, and if you have like a parent possibility to educate your children, this opportunity is in the school, in the teachers. And because of that, the sexual and health education is absolutely important. We can't leave behind children. We have to care about every children all the world. I was talking about in my speech before. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how rich you are. It doesn't matter you are a politician or nobody else. We have to care about children because the children is our future. Maybe this is the simple word, but I think that we are talking simple, but maybe it's a better understanding with simple words. And I would like to add something about anti-gender movements who create disinformation. European Parliamentary Forum for Sexual and Reproductive Rights explore these subjects very, very good. And if you are interested about this subject and how it looks like, how it's financing, you can take information from our website. We prepared a lot of information, how it is financing and how it's doing on and why it's doing on, and who is interested to give this information on the world in this subject.
Thank you very much. And first, I want to say that we have seen this week that the Philippines has a good record in legislating important child protection laws against statutory rape, online sexual abuse and exploitation, and early and forced marriage. You have the question of enacting this law, but it's a source of inspiration for me in France, for example, because we have the same subject. We have a phenomenon of abuse of the children, and we have a lot of reflection, debate in the National Assembly, in our Parliament, in the Senate and the National Assembly in France, about to reinforce our law against the incest. I don't know if it's the word in English, the incest or the abuse of the children. And for example, this week, again, in France, we adopted in first reading a new law. We reinforced the sanction against the author of abuse on children and on the violence against the women.
Thank you. Just one last question from
and especially for
yes.
a question in France, very important because there is a debate and a difficult debate. We want to introduce the imprescriptibility of the crime against the sexual crime against the children.
Okay. Thank you. Just
and it's difficult.
Okay. Okay. So last question. One of the main points, especially from Dr. Perez, is how very young children are being abused in this issue, in this phenomenon, and that why we need CSE is because information is power, so that they can make informed decisions, so that they can understand when situations are unsafe. Is there evidence in your countries that show pregnancies drop among very young children when they have a form of CSE?
Thank you. I used the example in my introductory speech that because of the help from CSE and we're being able to educate children, we have seen a sharp decline in teenage pregnancies, and that's from the age of 18 and under. And sadly, these things do go on within the family, and having proper education for children and support from schools and local community groups gives children the ability to understand if there is a problem, and also a space to be able to report it as well, which is why I think it's important. So yes, we have definitely seen that sexuality education has helped reduce those pregnancies.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Carlos Conde from Human Rights Watch. I think it's utterly unfortunate that this whole brouhaha over the CEC occurred during an election year. My question then is directed at PLCPD, UNFPA, UN Family Planning, and Doc JP. The disinformation, it seems to me, was very calculated to pressure legislators who are deliberating on this bill to rile them up enough to respond to their criticism. And true enough, some of the senators withdrew from the bill. My question to you now is that is there an effort now from the different groups who are concerned about this information against the CSE to kind of, go to these legislators and convince them about the falsity, the fake news, the lies that is being peddled against the bill, against the CSE, and what else can be done to convince them that all the lies from the Project Dalisay need to be pushed back against, and that the CSE, the bill needs to be put back on track.
Maybe from the CSO perspective, we actually increased our support for the bill since August. The bill has been there for, I think, 2 Congresses, or 3 even. But in August, when the debate started about the bill, we were expecting pushback from conservative groups, and that's why we improved our strategy by talking to lobbying legislators back in August. And this action in the latter part of December and now, of course, we believe is targeted towards stopping and discouraging senators from acting. And it is an election year, so they are vulnerable to pressures at this time. But still, the CSOs have agreed that we will continue to campaign for the bill and support comprehensive sexuality education and actually come out with more information to the public. We will be increasing social media efforts, and I believe we will have a mass action sometime next week before Senate closes, because the window of voting on the bill is up to February 6, I believe. So we will try to have some push from the streets to encourage those who have supported in the past to go back to supporting the bill. It's also obvious that those who supported the increase of consent to age of consent from 12 to 16 are also have withdrawn some of their support to comprehend. Yeah, so it's paradoxical. You want to address teen pregnancy, but you do not want comprehensive sexuality education. So we will be lobbying them and going to the streets. Maybe the other political perspective can be covered.
Well, we continue to update our political map because we need information on the different personalities lobbying to both houses. And we know that, yeah, it's true. We know that this is a well-coordinated, well-prepared campaign or lobby to discredit the bill and to influence both houses of Congress, our representatives and senators, to reject this bill. But I think because there's no more time to deliberate, I think that it will be impossible for the next 3 days to really call for our senators to hear the bill, to continue the deliberation, both the interpellation and amendments, because they will have 3 sessions next week, and they will break for the election, and they will return after the elections for just 6 sessions. So we're afraid that we have to start all over again in the 20th Congress. So that will give us time to consolidate and to reach out to other groups. As I've said earlier, we will reach out to other regions, our supporters and allies and advocates in other regions, and perhaps we can continue building more support among local government units, because that was the approach during the campaign for the reproductive health law. Some of the LGUs made their positions. They call on Congress to finally settle the debate and move to vote for the RH bill during the time. And this is what we will do again for this campaign. We will reach out to different local government units, because there was a positive sign. The Alliance of Local Legislators for Human Development. This is a newly established organization of local legislators. They released a statement supporting the comprehensive sexuality education and the Senate Bill 1979.
More questions? Comments? Yes, is there?
Hello, okay. I'm Diana Mendoza. I'm an independent journalist. I also edit and write for Women Writing Women Philippines. I'd like to ask the European parliamentarians, how did you fight back against persons or individuals or organizations who have to use social norms, tradition, religion, what else? Conservatism, fundamentalism to push back against CSE in your countries? Because in the Philippines, and I don't think you have, I know that there are similarities and differences in the way you do legislation in your countries and in the Philippines, but I think you had the same situation also. But the Philippines is even, I think it's worse, because we have poverty, we have politicians, and what else? Facebook. And Facebook, no, and social media, and advocates like the ones you are sitting with in the panel have been struggling to advocate for CSE and against teenage pregnancy. So how did you do that? How did you fight back against those who campaign for social norms, for being conservative, for religion? Thank you.
I start? I start, and just because in France we have at this moment a lot of attack against the CSE. First, I want to say that, and thank you for the question. In Europe, we have a lot of difference between our each country. So I think it's not the same situation, the same social system, the same social reality. And for example, Lotta from Sweden sent us a message a few minutes ago. The CSE program works since 1955, and it's why you have the lowest, for example, teen pregnancy rate in Sweden, and it permits me to say thanks to Lotta from Sweden, to Eva, to Finish, to Frederica, to Katarina in the room, to Evelina, to Marilou, Vanessa, for all the exchange during this week. And so we are different between our country. And for example, you have the example of the Sweden, CSE since 1955, and in France we have a lot of law. We are engaged for the protection of the women, for the equality between men and women, and we have a law about the CSE since 2001. And we talk this week about the application of this law. So this law of 2001 is not applicated, is not in place, implemented. And so we have again a work to implement this law. And there was a large support in our society, but we observed hard campaign in the social network, in internet, in the school by the parents, association, in different political party to fight against this law. And it's why it explains the long time to define to finish to determine the program, the French program of CSE, which is adopted yesterday. And so, with a large put in place after in the September, in the new beginning of the year, the scholar year. And so we fight against the anti-choice movement campaign with a campaign of information of the teachers, information of the politicians, and all the politicians. So we organize meeting, debate with the society, the civil society, and the link between the politicians and the civil society is very, very important to defend the importance of the CSE and to have the capacity to put in place. I hope I clear. Sorry for my English. Joanna?
You mentioned about religion. You mentioned about Catholic. I'm from the Catholic country, and I'm Catholic as well. And like I said before, we have differences between our parties. I'm from Social Democrats, I have friends from Conservatives, from Liberal. But when we talk about children and caring about children, we have the same thinking. We all Catholics. And we think that religion has to be in the church, not in the House of Representatives of Senate. And I think this is very important. Poland is a good example of that because the church's involvement in politics has led to people stopping going to the church now. 20 years ago, we had a 90% population going to the church. And after, when the church wanted to be strong in the politics, we have only 30% people in the church. And I think this is very, very important. And you are journalists, and you are doing a very good job. And I think that important is, especially in this time when you have a discussion about such a very important things, is it important what you will write about it? And I have a request to you. Just before you start to doing your job, just be for a few seconds, because I think I am not only the one mother in this room. Just be for the second to think like a mother, like a father, like somebody who have a children. What do you want to do to create better life for them? And I think this is important, what you will show after our conference, what you will write after our conference. And I think that the most important thing is to show the truth, to show the example. The change could be very good, and Poland is a good example of that.
I just want, I forget a point, and I want to add a point very important in France. The implication, the commitment of our diplomacy. And the French diplomacy with a feminist diplomacy is committed to defend the CSE in all international organizations, and especially to defend this point in the all international standard, and to fight against powerful state as the Russia, as today the Trump administration, who don't want to talk about the CSE. The French diplomacy defends that, and we observe this week that we have a lot of work on common between Philippines and France, for example, I think, on the defense of this point.
Thank you. And just the perspective from the UK, we are a Christian country, not all Catholic, but we have a Catholic population as well. And we also share your belief in the importance of family and family values. And as I said, I am from the Conservative Party, but like my colleagues, we all work very carefully across all political parties to further this agenda and to fight the disinformation that we're seeing. Joanna earlier spoke about the work of EPF, and there was a report called The Tip of the Iceberg, which shows how funding from outside of our countries is being used to influence on this agenda. And so it's really important that we work together to make sure that the true facts are out there and that the evidence is out there and that the education is out there. It's very important to empower young people who are the future and also make sure that we're using social media to fight back as well. And as Joanna said, it's so important that the media are reporting the facts as well. And so all of you have a very important part to play in fighting that disinformation and making sure that decisions are made by lawmakers that are based on facts and evidence.
May I make a quick follow-up on Diane's questions and your answers? One of the most ridiculous things that have been said about this CSE is that this is an imposition by the West. If you look at the people from Project Dalisay, they'd say, oh, this is again another one of those instances when international standards are being imposed in the Philippines. And if they're watching now in this press conference and looking at the three of you, they'd probably say, see, well, that's exactly what we're seeing. All of these foreigners coming to the Philippines, imposing their standards on us. I'm sure they're thinking that. Now, I would like to ask you, how do you respond to that? What's your reply to that? Because that's a kind of lie that they've been propagating since this controversy erupted.
I'll start with that, thank you. This is one of a number of study trips that we have done to the Philippines over the years, and as I said, we all share these experiences. What we are here to do is learn from what's happening here in the Philippines and the improvements that you've been made to legislation, and really share our understanding of how we can tackle the issues which we all really care about the health of our nation, about women's health, about reducing maternal mortality. And I think the important thing, I suppose my message, is we have to protect against outside influence from any country. And it's absolutely up to each of our countries to decide how to teach our children in a way that is appropriate for each of our countries, and that is what you're doing here in the Philippines. That's what we have been doing here in the UK. So our visit here is to learn from you, to share our experiences, and to discuss how best we can tackle these shared issues. But it's absolutely for you here in the Philippines to decide how you want to teach your children, and that's my key message.
I totally agree with you, Liz. And it's important to share our experience of this, and it's why I say I'm surprised during this week to have the same exchange in France, in Philippines, about how can we put in place the CEC program, how can we build this program, how can we associate the teacher for this program to put in place, how can we have an exchange with politicians opposed to this program to convince them that it's important. We have the same debate in France, and a law with I think we adopt in France and Philippines we adopt the law at the same times in the same years. So it's why I say it's a common work, and surprised to hear the same attack. And for example, in France, the main attack by the anti-choice movement of the CEC, it's to say that we want to learn to the children at 4 years old to masturbate. It's not that, the CEC. It's to respect the other. It's to leave the other, to respect the choice of the other at the in this program, and to be good with the other, and after to think about a program that has to be progressive during the studies, with first lessons when you are in school, and after during the studies. So the importance of the progressivity of this program, and it's why we have to keep in touch in this subject, because we have to learn a lot to each other to succeed, to put in place this program, and perhaps to convince other countries to make the same choice.
I don't see the difference between mothers in Philippines, Poland, France, Italy, Finland, and Sweden. I think all of the world, we have the same thinking about our child. I said it before. And I think that sharing our experience, it's the most important thing. And this is the main issue for us, sharing our experiences, talking about that. Because for us, it's no differences between mothers on the world and between children on the world. And I think this is the clue for me of this conference and for this mission.
Good morning. I'm Sherilyn Untalan from GMA Integrated News, GMA News Online. So first, if I may just quote, there's a lawmaker who made a statement just this week, and he said, if you're going to study the members of UNESCO, they're actually atheists, and they do not believe in God like we do. So I'm just asking for your comment on that. And do you think, is it a valid reason to ignore the evidence of the rising number of teenage pregnancy?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, I think the question is that UNESCO, which is, I think, based in Paris, no? UNESCO, United Nations Education, Scientific, Cultural Organization. They are the ones that they are all atheists. They do not believe in God. That's why they are promoting CSE.
Yes.
I think that's a question.
Yes.
Do you
They're
believe-
against implementing the CSC.
I haven't seen that statement, I'm afraid. But I think the important thing, again, to remember is that these are guidelines. A lot of what we are hearing about these guidelines is misinformation and not correct. And the important point is that it's for countries and for you here in the Philippines to interpret how you want to teach your children and the way you want to teach them. But very important that we do look at the evidence and we look at the importance of education and reducing teenage pregnancies, which is what we want to see.
I have a follow-up. So that lawmaker also said that CSE is not the key to addressing the rising number of teenage mothers in the Philippines. So as you said that you've met some of our lawmakers, including those who are against the CSE, did they mention any alternative solutions to solve teenage pregnancy here in the Philippines?
I think we heard earlier from one of the panelists about the different pillars of how to reduce teenage pregnancies. But again, it is for all the legislators and civil society here to decide how best to reduce teenage pregnancies here in the Philippines.
Maybe from the side of UNFPA, I'm not really familiar about the religious affiliation of those from UNESCO, but what I can assure you is that the United Nations is composed of people of diverse religious backgrounds. So there are Christians, there are Muslims, they are from different religions. Yes, some might be atheists, but there's a lot of people with different religious backgrounds. So it's not, so maybe that information could help. But with regards to UNESCO, of course, we don't really know the religious affiliation because, of course, these are personal information, right?
But just to add, I mean, I don't think there is a conflict between religion and CSE. As I said, we have seen CSE introduced to positive effect in our countries and in our Christian countries. And as long as it's done in an appropriate way, we don't see the conflict there.
Can I add on that question? We're not hearing from our politicians, particularly from Congress members and senators, exactly what is the alternative. But a congressman said that they want to elevate the discussion of CSE in the Supreme Court. They want to bring this case to the Supreme Court. Another senator said that he wants this suspended for DepEd to review and finally come out with a curriculum that will allow the positions of those who are opposing CSE and Senate Bill 1979. So there is no concrete proposal from them. What is the alternative? Okay. And as far as we're concerned, Project Delisa is also offering an alternative other than abstinence only until marriage, and there's another one, that we drop CSE and go back to the original intent of the RH law, which is what they call sex education. And that is misinformation again. Because according to the RH law, it is reproductive health and sexuality education and not sex education. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rafael Bosano from ABS-CBN News. Dr. Perez cited alarming statistics, and that's fairly recent, some 11,000 pregnancies for the Philippines. I'm just curious, what are the rate of pregnancies in your respective countries prior the implementation of CSE and after? I understand that France is getting a tax on CSE and that the UK says that they have seen a large decline. So, and in addition to that, aside from the rate, how fast was the decline in your countries in terms of early and unintended pregnancies?
I think for the CSE in France, the subject is less the teen pregnancy, with the rate is very, very low. I don't have the number, but very, very low. But we have more a question of violence and struggle against the violence, the gender violence, and the violence between the girls and the women. We have also a question about the struggle against the sexual disease. I don't know the word in English. STI in English. STI. And we observe new behavior, for example, for the new generation who pay less attention for the contraceptive, for example, for the condom. And so we have to use this CSE to defend this practice, the good practice of to pay attention to the contraception.
Simply, in Poland, if somebody have a sex with teenagers before 15, he's going to the prison. It's not allowed.
Thank you. I said in my introduction that the rate of teenage pregnancy has fallen by 62% since the introduction of our teenage pregnancy strategy. So it was around 7.7% in 2000, and now it's gone down to just about 2.4% in the UK. So that has been a really good difference. I also mentioned that we still have many challenges in the UK, some of the same challenges which you're facing here in the Philippines. So we're looking at what more we can do to help educate young people to help address that.
I'd like to know what your observations are in the Philippines. You said that you visited different communities and health centers. What are your observations in terms of access to social services, HIV testing, pregnancy testing?
We've seen some really excellent programs here in the Philippines. As I mentioned, the community outreach workers who have been traveling to underserved communities and some of your health clinics. So there's been really good initiatives to help improve access both to family planning and also to HIV testing. But you know, as we are seeing with the increasing rates, it's very clear that in all our countries there is more that we need to do to make sure that all of our law is properly implemented and that the citizens of our nations have the access to the services that they have a right to under the law. And that's something which I know everybody is working on here and in our own countries.
Yes, we see a very important and interesting project of access to this service. What I have understood, there is a purpose to develop and to have more structure, as we have seen and that it's important. And it's why in our country we have to convince our colleagues, member of parliament, I think, to continue to finance the international solidarity, and especially, for example, our international policy to struggle against the HIV. It's an important debate in France to continue to finance the international funds against the HIV. And I hope in the next year we have the capacity to reinforce our cooperation between the France and Philippines, for example, in such projects. I saw by the French ambassador yesterday, and we spoke a lot about this. But there is the necessity to keep our international budget in France to help to finance and to participate to finance, for example, such projects.
I hope I could remember in Philippines you have 400,000 NGOs, and in Poland we have about 2,000 NGOs, and we had a possibility to meet some of them, and they are so good. They are so good, and I think that the most important thing for changes is to have a good and very powerful people from the NGOs. I am from the NGOs as well. I was started 30 years ago like a NGOs activist. And even if I am a politician now, I am activist still. And you have a very strong people in the NGOs community. And you have to remember that very often people who are working in the NGOs, they don't earn money. They are voluntarists, yes? And this is important thing because politicians has salary. And the people who are working in the NGOs, they doing great job. They pushing subjects to change things in their countries. And you have to be proud from the people like we are sitting here as well.
If there are no more questions, going once, twice. Okay, so if there are no more questions, we'd like to ask our panelists for their closing statements. Just a few sentences to end our briefing this morning. So we'd like to start with Baroness Liz.
Thank you very much, and thank you to all of you for coming here today. It's been really interesting to take your questions after what's been a fascinating and inspirational week for us here in the Philippines. And I think it's really clear from the panel contributions and also from the questions how much we have in common. And I think it's important to underline that what this visit has been about. It's about shared understanding and learning from each other. And I really wish you all the best in making the right decisions for yourself here in the Philippines. We all want to improve the health and ultimately the wealth of our populations and reduce adolescent pregnancies, protect children and improve maternal health in each of our countries. And this week has allowed mutual understanding and learning to help all of us in that shared goal. So thank you.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you very much. And sincerely, excuse me for my English. I try to do my best for French. And I hope I was clear. But thank you for everybody to be here. Thank you for our dear colleagues to be with us. I repeat, Marilou, Evelina, Katarina, Lotta, Eva, Pia, Vanessa, to be with you, Marilou, in the cell, and Laura and Saskia to be with us for EPF. One word to finish. I say again, I keep the energy that we saw during this week, and I think we have to not forget never that we live in the same world, and in reality, our world is a little world, and we have a lot of things in common, and a lot of work to to make together. So don't forget this.
I was started like a mother, but I will finish like a politician. We are in a specific moment in the Philippines because you have election in May. We have election in Poland as well in May, presidential election. And I would like to tell something to the young people and the women. Vote for people who wanted to care about your future. Vote for people who want to care about your child. And don't care about disinformation and propaganda. Just think about your children and think about your woman, your sister, your wife. This is your future, and I think it is possible to change the future for the better one. We changed in Poland 1 year ago, and the changes was because the young people, young women going to the polls and they voting for us. And if you want to change something for your life, for life of your wife, life of your mother, life of your daughter, just go vote and vote for the people who want the same for you, not the others. The change has to be better. Thank you.
Thank you. In the Philippines, we saw the highest rate of teen pregnancy in 2016 and 2017, when we had around 200,000 teen pregnancies under 20. It has gone down to 140,000. But you have to look at the adolescent age group. They are the ones who have increased their pregnancies, particularly below 16. So from 16 to 19, the pregnancy is not high anymore. But below 16, that is the worrying part, and it is not a fertility that is due to the girls, the children making that choice. It is because older men, those in power who have more economic power, are abusing our children. And that is a reality that we need to change. With the law on statutory rape that is not being implemented, this trend will continue. In 2024, we do not know yet the number of children who were abused, but it should be in the area of 10,000. So imagine that there are probably 20,000 by now, 2025 cases that have not been acted on. So our call is for the bill to pass, for CSE to be implemented, so that our children are empowered, are able to understand their situation, and able to address within their limited power this situation. But we need the chilling effect of predators, of these perpetrators of rape, to start having cases filed against them. Otherwise, this will just go up. And the law must address all the other pillars that was mentioned by Baroness. There is no single bullet that will solve this. We need comprehensive sexuality education. We need services for adolescents. We need measures against abuse that are implemented, like the statutory rape law. We need social protection for 2%, almost 2% of girls 10 to 17 who already have families. They are heading families, but they are below 18 years old. They are minors. They need social protection. And the fifth is to mobilize the youth, empower them, so that they can also stand up against all of this. So these 5 elements, we believe, will help us solve the issue in a major way. Thank you.
The Philippines commonly mentions that it will benefit from the demographic dividend to lift up its economy. But we just want to highlight that demographic dividends are not economic. And one very important investment for countries to achieve their demographic dividend is investment in the reproductive health and rights of children, of women and young girls especially. Because if we don't invest in them, if we don't prevent adolescent pregnancies, a lot of women will not be able to enter the workforce. They will not be able to graduate from school. They will not be able to become productive members of society when they get older. So we believe that it's very important for government to take this issue seriously and to make sure that they continues to invest in the reproductive health and rights of women and young girls.
Both the Philippine Legislators Committee on Population and Development and the Child Rights Network maintain that children have rights to be educated and to be equipped with life-saving information on how to avoid early and unwanted pregnancy and how to resist and report abuses, sexual abuse and exploitation. We believe that the comprehensive sexuality education, as it is defined in the Senate Bill 1979 and DepEd's CSE curriculum, is still the most progressive, age-appropriate, and rights-based approach to equipping and empowering children on making correct decisions on their health and development. Maraming salamat po, and thank you to our guests from Europe and to our media who shared their time with us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists, to our friends from the media, and to our guests from the European Parliamentary Forum and the MPs from Europe, Canada, and New Zealand. The message is clear. It has been clear. Wherever we are in the world, we all want the same thing: to protect children, to protect our health, and a better future for everyone. And what will make this happen is right in front of us. If Congress is listening, empowering children with the correct information, and definitely not keeping them in the dark, and building even more barriers to the necessary services. So with that, we'd like to end our briefing this morning and dialogue. Thank you everyone for taking the time to spend your time with us in this exchange. And lunch will be served at the food exchange on the ground floor. Thank you. And I think some of our panelists will be available for interview. And even some of the MPs who are not part of the panel are also available for interview if you are interested. Thank you. So we need the meal stub to go to enter the food exchange. So our staff will distribute them as we exit the venue. Thank you.